It's time for the Wally and Methot Show, presented by sportsinteraction.com. Now, here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Mark Methot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wally and Methot Show. I'm Brent Wallace. He's Mark Methot, and we're back. We apologize for the break. I will say, Meth, and you know this as well, there's a ton of stuff going on right now as we try to do different projects, which causes some issues of not being around all the time to do these shows. So we will try to fix that and make it better for you. So we apologize for being a little bit tardy of late. It's all Meth's fault.
It is. It's always my fault.
This show is always brought to you by sportsinteraction.com. Go to sportsinteraction.com/Wally Methot for the most competitive live daily odds. They are Canada's online casino and sportsbook. Go there today, by the way, and pick up, if you want, I guess if it's today on Tuesday, and bet against the New Jersey Devils, as they are the underdogs in this one against the Ottawa Senators. The over and under set at 6.5. If you were a betting man, Mark Methot, before we get into this, Brady Tkachuk needs 1 goal for 30 on the season and 3 games left on the year. Does he get it?
Well, you have to think he's going to, knowing Brady, he'll probably will his way to that net and find one. And I'm more concerned about the opponents in a good way. I think if you're looking at an opportunity to score, I mean, against New Jersey, there's an opportunity there. Florida's going to be a tough game for them. We all know that. Yeah. And then of course, the last game against Philly. So there's a couple games there where I feel like they can be high scoring, and that favors Brady. If I'm him, I'm going to spend the night right at net front. I'm going to get my butt right in front of that goalie and just wait for shots to come through and try to pick a rebound in. But I mean, it's a number, and I don't know that Brady needs to get that number because we already know how valuable he is to this group regardless. But I think as a little personal accolade, I understand the want to get to 30, that nice round number that you can say you've achieved. So, and his brother just hit 40 goals too. So there's probably a little bit of a competitive aspect as well. So I'm cheering him on. I hope he gets it.
Well, I will say also, as we do in the media, as we mentioned, he's a 4-time 30 goal scorer or whatever. And in that includes contract negotiations. And I know he's signed for a while, but point is 30 goal scorer to 20 goal scorer is millions of dollars at the end of the day, which is also another key issue at some point.
Agreed.
Speaking of Brady, he's on our show today, which is brought to you by Whitewater Beer, the cool, refreshing taste of Whitewater Beer. Go to them, go to shopwhitewater.ca, use the 15% off coupon at wham-funkyfresh. Either pick up a Funky Fresh, which is phenomenal, by the way, or Meth, as you know, new flavor alert, North and South is out. A little bit of fruit to it, but it's actually quite refreshing. It's a great summer beer. If you haven't tried it, North and South, you can order it online. Also, I saw Astrolab is on sale. It's another good beer that I've always enjoyed of late. So go to shopwhitewater.ca, use the Wham-Funky Fresh, pour open a cold one, and enjoy the interview this afternoon with Brady Tkachuk. He's very, very good. We'll get into the Alfie stuff. As Meth played a huge part in this meeting, he'll tell you all about it in the interview.
It was to be a fly on the wall though, for that conversation, because I can understand Brady not wanting to divulge too much, right, out of respect towards Alfie, and quite frankly, it's nobody else's business, right? So, but the idea of what they may have been talking about is pretty cool. And I know Alfie, if anybody knows Alfie, it's us, and he's got that father figure sort of aura around him. Yeah. So you have to think that he was probably lecturing Brady a little bit about the dynamic of the city and the fans and what it's like, around a room, and managing the general manager and the coaches when things aren't going well and vice versa. So I'm sure Alfie had a lot of really good advice for him.
It'd be kind of neat. I really hope that Alfie finds his way back into this organization. I think it's just obviously, as you know, it's imperative, I think, for this group. Let's get to the headlines, shall we? Brought to you by Boyd Moving. Want better pay, more respect, more job security? Then head on over to Boyd Moving. If you're an experienced mover, truck driver, or just a hardworking go-getter who wants rewarding work, and you have a better back than Mark Methot, then it's time to turn your job into a career. Apply today at boydcareers.ca. Boyd Moving. We keep Ottawa moving. Let's start with, I'm going to go Brendan Gallagher, because he's always a fascinating character to me. And I think the NHL needs characters. We see them all the time. Obviously, Brad Marchand is a key one in that. If you are either the Ottawa Senators and or the Montreal Canadiens, do you welcome the chaos that seems to follow Brendan Gallagher around wherever he is?
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Because there's two sides to this. I think on the one hand, being a positive, if you have him as a teammate, is that he'll kind of force you to, he'll drag you into the battle with him as far as getting into those little after whistle scrums. He plays a little feisty. He's not, he's not a pest per se at all times, but he's relentless. He'll get right in front of your goalie. He'll stop short right in front of a short save in front of your goaltender. And he knows what he's doing. The little stick work that he does, he gets in your way. I had a lot of great battles with him. He and I went at it a lot when I played with Ottawa because I always seemed to face him up on that wing. And we played a lot against them in the playoff as well. But at the same time, over the course of an 82 game season, I feel like it would get old at times if he continued with that type of play, because he's always dragging you into the physical altercations that, maybe on any given night, you might not be necessarily game or down for that. But I mean, he's competitive. That's contagious. I think overall, I'd like to have him as a teammate for sure, because like I said, he's a passionate player that plays with a chip on his shoulder. And that just kind of trickles down into your lineup as far as any given night. It could be a back-to-back. You're tired. Players like him, players like Brady, they have a knack for sort of bringing a little energy into the group. So I got to hand it to him. He was annoying to play against, yes, but I'd probably welcome him in pretty quickly as a teammate.
It's interesting. People always say that, but then I'm looking at his contract, and I think he has 6 goals on the year. Does that play a part when he's on your roster, creating all kinds of havoc, and he's only being able to contribute this kind offensively?
Yeah. And that's interesting, right? Because he's not getting the production. And when you play that type of style over the course of your career, it can wear on you. And he's not a really big person. So, all that abuse and all that wear and tear he's taking obviously has to take a toll on the body a little bit. I haven't watched a ton of him. I haven't isolated him. And so I'm not going to pretend like I've analyzed every game he's played this year. Sure. But obviously point production is huge, and he's, I played against him when he was at the height of his career. So that's sort of the player that I have in mind when I do think of him. I don't think of the struggling offensive player. But, I watched him the other night and I thought he played a heavy game, like in Ottawa, that's his bread and butter. Those types of games where, there's a lot on the line. I know neither team is making the postseason, but when the temperature is raised, I feel like players like him thrive in those environments. So like I said, I stand by what I said. Yes, his point production isn't matching the dollar signs right now, but that's encapsulating, a whole group around him that has been struggling this year. So it's hard to really just point the finger at one guy.
I just like the shade that you just threw at him when I played against him at the height of his career. Like his career's over, which is why I just
or there's a height joke there that but that was unintentional. I'm not doing that. I have nothing. I mean this sincerely. I have nothing but respect for him and his play because he was annoying and really hard to play against in many ways, but he was clean. Like he would never cheap shot you in the back of the leg, at least not with me. It was always just relentless. He'll come back at you in waves. Doesn't matter how many times you'd knock him down. And I admired that about him. He'd keep coming. So I do have nothing but respect.
Speaking of hard to play against, Mark Kastelic is certainly earning himself a spot more and more, right? And so in that same game, he scores 2 goals. And I'm looking at the first goal he scores, and there's no celebration anywhere. Then the camera pans over, and he's got the mitts off. Like, what a way to score your first NHL goal.
Yeah, and Wally, that was a funny sequence because I was at that game. I wasn't working it. I was up in the alumni box, and we're up in like the 400s, right? So, but I was standing beside Laurie Boschman, and we were just talking about whatever. And the play started to develop out of the corner where he was on the right side in the offensive zone, and he just threw a puck at the net and then took a late hit. But that puck, I feel like I was one of the only guys that thought, I think that went in, and nobody else kind of seemed to catch on to that. They saw Kastelic grab the rebound. That it was an odd rebound, right? It didn't seem like it came off the goalie. Right. So I'm thinking like that went in. And then all of a sudden I'm looking over again and he's fighting in that same sequence right after the shot. And it was a blind shot at the net. And that's another example of just getting pucks to the net, right? You never know what's going to happen. But I love the player. I really do. And I mean, I know he's the flavor right now, but I go beyond that, beyond the point production. I love the energy that Kastelic brings to that line. He's reliable. He's not some plug that's just skating around. He's actually a good two-way player as a role player on your fourth line, and he's responsible. He's pretty good on draws. And he's got a physical element to him. You look, even just looking at him, there's that, you think, okay, that's a guy that might drop the gloves if I play him a little too hard. He's got that tough guy look to him. So between him and Sabourin, that game running around, I thought it was great because the game didn't matter. Everybody gets caught up in the wins and in the losses, but there's only a few games left. both teams are at the bottom at in the basement right now. I'm thinking, and Bosch, who was a skilled player himself, he said it to me as well. He's like, I like that it's a statement game, like this is the time. If there's ever a time to establish a little bit more of assertiveness physically or whatever, it's now. It's not next year at the start of the season. It's right now. So, I thought the way they played almost forced a lot of the skilled guys in Montreal to kind of cower away a little bit. They got a little quieter. So I thought that was very effective, and you got to hand DJ Smith that. I'm not about throwing a bunch of goons on the ice. I don't think it was like that. I think it's just, here, we're going to give you guys some physical players as a response. Enjoy it. And they did the job.
Okay, I got a question, because we've all penciled now in Parker Kelly and Mark Kastelic on the fourth line with arguably Austin Watson. Everybody seems that that's cemented. The question I have is consistent, and you understand this more than anybody. Consistency is what makes you stay in the National Hockey League. If they get into next year and it's now into game 35, game 40, the body starts to break down, right? You have to find a different level to remain consistent. Do those two players who are fairly young understand what it's going to take to get to game 82? And are they going to be that consistent? We saw it with Alex Formenton at parts this year. He struggled because he just wasn't, I don't think, able to physically be ready for a whole season.
Yeah. And it's hard because with Formenton, his line mates with injuries, we saw Stützle out for a little while. Like there were random, and we talked about this with Brady, there were always injuries. So they never really got a lot of consistency in their lines.
Yep.
But to your point about players like Kastelic, or even probably more Parker Kelly, where he's very much a pest. Everybody knows that. It can wear on you a little bit, maybe, but he's so young and he's energetic. Now, can you sustain that type of play for a 15-year career? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure he could prove me wrong. But for now, being at his age and the amount of energy he has, okay. Not every night. He's not going to be completely effective every night, but I like what he brings to the table. I am concerned with the makeup of those bottom two lines, Wally, because you mentioned, if you have a player like Kastelic, Sabourin, Parker Kelly, and then you've got, on that third line last game, you had Kelly, Gambrell, and Watson. Like, Watson's going to have to come back down to that fourth line at some point. And then what happens to Sabourin? Sabourin just the call-up guy right now. So there's a lot of questions. But I loved the energy from that line last game. And I hope it's not just an outlier or some sort of anomaly. I hope they can continue this for the next few games, because right now they're making life very difficult for the general manager, right? Like, Pierre's looking at this game now and going, like, he's scratching his head thinking, okay, like, that fourth line was incredibly effective. Do we have to keep that together? Because that to me is an ideal fourth line to have for the length of a season. You have the element of a tough guy who's still very young and hungry, and guy like Sabourin, Kastelic's got shades of that as well. So I don't know. This is where I don't envy a management position, because it's a hard decision to make. So you're going to have to take your time over these last 3 games, see what you have. And then that leads you into maybe some sort of format or idea of what you're going to get going into the training camp next season in October.
Fair enough. You're talking about building a lineup. We'd also like to talk about perhaps building up your backyard. If you want landscape needs, go to Bonnechere Excavating Inc. BonnechereExcavating.com. They can redo your driveway. Also with aggregate, all kinds of landscaping needs. Give them a shout for competitive pricing. 613-432-1120 or go to BonnechereExcavating.com. BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Speaking of being reshaped for next year, Colin White's not in the lineup, which is one of the reasons Scott Sabourin has been recalled. Is there a chance, Mark Methot, we have seen the last of Colin White in an Ottawa Senator uniform?
I mean, I
will
think
say to people listening, there is 3 years left. I think it is at 4.75. Yeah, 3 years left at 4.75 million. So what do you think?
Well, if you're the Ottawa Senators, I think at this point, looking at the way the makeup of the team, the type of style that DJ wants out of this group, I just don't see him fitting in at this point. I think this was, and I love nothing but respect. I love Whitey, but this was his year, right? I mean, this was his year to make a big splash and sort of change the narrative or turn things around, or what idea people had of the player. He had that opportunity this year. Of course, injuries played a big part in that. He missed a bunch of games. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't see him fitting in this lineup next season. I just don't. And now you have an opportunity as an organization to buy him out at 1/3, which to me is not something you typically see Ottawa do over the, if history has a has a word here with what they're going to do moving forward. They've never typically bought players out, but I think in this case, with the way the lineup's structured, you're going to have to at least visit that avenue this summer and think long and hard about it, because I just don't see any room for him here in this lineup moving forward. I don't.
So part of me though, and I agree with you. And if I think the dollar amount doesn't matter, I think it's more to do with the play of the player. I would like to, I don't know why, I feel a soft spot for Colin White. I want to see him thrive.
I do too.
I'm hoping he's in the lineup next year. I hope he has a good year.
And these are the hard questions, Wally. Like I hate answering that question because I do love the player. I like the individual. I think he's a great dude. And this isn't me saying I don't think he's a good player. I don't know where you fit him in the lineup at that tag role right now when you're exactly. And you're going to have to, you got to think here, like this team at some point, they're going to have to find some money for players like Norris and
Formanton.
Who's the other? And Formanton, and then Zub at some point. Like, and there's more. I mean, I'm not a dollar guy or a GM. Like I'm not a contract guy by any means. But that's my point. It's that at some point you're going to have to figure out, okay, we're going to have to allocate some of these funds, and players like Zaitsev and White sort of weigh down that process. So unfortunately, that's what they're facing now. And all teams face it. It's, this isn't normal. This isn't exclusive to Ottawa. Other teams have to buy out players occasionally. It's just part of the process of growth when you're trying to build a winner.
Finally, the Ottawa Senators aren't into the playoffs, but the Belleville Senators are into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history and since they moved. And so our good friend Igor Sokolov is headed to the postseason. You played in the AHL playoffs. There's lots of talk about what it does development-wise, if it matters. Does it matter when you played in the playoffs? Did it make a difference for you getting to the National Hockey League?
Well, first of all, congratulations to Belleville. That's huge. Coaching staff and everybody involved. They've done a really good job there. And we were questioning some of the moves, right? When they were sending down Gus, for example, or bringing guys up like a yo-yo. And now I understand they've got their playoff spot. It came down to the wire. Congratulations. But from my experiences playing in them at the American League level, people need to understand, and I'm going to be very transparent. Okay. Yes, any amount of hockey is terrific for your growth, for your maturity and coming up into the NHL. But when you're down there and the paychecks stop coming in as an American League player, but the rent continues, it's conflicting, right? So when I'd be down there in Syracuse, I stopped getting paid, at the last game of the season. You're making American League money. This isn't like boo-hoo. You know what? I'm sick of prefacing stuff with, we're privileged. Yeah. I don't care about that shit anymore. Okay.
It's reality.
You're playing in it's reality. You're not making money anymore, but you're still paying for rent and groceries and whatever. And you're working. So you're working for free now. So it gets difficult because it's a grind. It's been a long year. The AHL format is tough because you're playing 3-game sequences on the weekends. It's always like 3-3s or whatever it is. So you're tired, but it is fun. You're still playing a sport with your friends and there's a goal and you want to win. It's tough because most players down there, like myself, when I was down there, I was more focused on playing in the NHL. I wanted to win with these guys. Yes. But my mind was always on the bigger picture. I'm like, I don't care about this. I want to focus on me and play in the NHL. That's my goal. So you've got the lifers that play in the American League that are just focused on winning and they really want to win. And then you got the fringe guys that are NHL players that want to make an impact. They know that the scouts are going to be in the buildings in the playoffs and their focus is on looking good. Yes, they want to win. Of course they want to win. I wanted to win too, but you're more concerned about your own individual progress and looking good in front of the scouts. The GMs are going to be there because the NHL club's out. They're all going to be focused on you every single game. So, there are pros and cons to it. I was very much in the camp that I just wanted to look good. I wanted my play to look good so that the Columbus scouts thought, okay, he's an NHL player now. That's the honest truth. So whether people want to hear that or not, whatever, I don't care. That's just the way it was. And, but it is a good learning experience for some of the younger players, those first-year guys that haven't played the pro level yet and are getting a taste now of pro playoff hockey. It's a great opportunity for them.
Okay, so 2 questions. One, what was your biggest playoff paycheck afterwards?
Wasn't much. I honestly, I can't even remember. I think I made more playing in junior or bonuses in junior. We'd make a small bonus check when I was playing with London, like in the playoffs, which is very common in the OHL. where the team will either give the guys some money to go and spend it out at the bar after the round or whatever it was. It wasn't significant enough that it was incentive to win. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'll leave it at that. It is what it is.
The other one was, did it make you play any better? Did it change you any better as a player? Like, because the plays elevated slightly, did you become a better player?
Oh yeah. Like, and yeah, like this isn't me shitting all over the American League playoffs. Like we played against some heated rounds against the Marlies. We played against Manitoba several times while I was down there, where they had players like Mike Keane and Kevin Bieksa. They always had a really good team in Manitoba. And same with the Marlies, right? Because they had so much money in that system that they had a lot of really good older veteran players. So yeah, it was great for me. I mean, for sure. It definitely didn't hurt me, my development. But like I said, from a psyche perspective, like your own mental, aspect of it all, I guess I wasn't purely motivated to win. It was more a mixture between wanting to win and wanting to look good and trying to leave an impression with the organization.
All right, fair enough. Well, you always leave an impression with us. Speaking of impressionable, coming up, Brady Tkachuk stops by. We talk about Alfie, of course, lots of other things, getting to 30 goals, his brother, plenty of different topics. So don't go anywhere. The Whitewater Chat with Brady Tkachuk is coming up. Please be welcomed now by the captain of the Ottawa Senators and back on the show for the second time. It's been a long time. Brady Tkachuk, good to see you, my friend.
Good seeing you guys too. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Brady, can we get right to this? The meeting with Alfie, which I think happened about 10 days ago or so, it came shortly after we did our episode with the captain that was here for 17 years. Can you confirm or deny that maybe we played a part in this meeting?
A little bit, I'd say. Just got the wheels turning a little bit quicker, but we were supposed to do it earlier with in the season, kind of right after being named. But schedule got busy, COVID got crazy again, and I'm just happy it all worked out. It was honestly a great experience, and we had a lot of fun. Hour and a half went by quick. There was a lot of different topics we talked about. So it was a ton of fun getting to know him, kind of meet him and talk to him for the first time.
Who paid?
He did. When the check came, it was slow over. No, he took care of me, and it was definitely really nice of him too.
Nice, very good.
So I don't want to ask you all that took place, but was there talk about maybe him being back around the players? So one of the things I've always noticed, and Detroit's really good at this, and Montreal and all these storied franchises, they have all these veteran alumni around. And obviously Alfie is the biggest one of them all and missing. Is there any chatter of him possibly being around a bit more now to meet players and to just give them some advice?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really kind of get into that too much. We were just talking about his experiences, as a player, through the highs and lows of a individual career in a season, and just kind of how he handles different situations as a captain. But we didn't really get much into that kind of topic. Really, it was just more kind of leaning on him with situational stuff that happens on whether every day during a game, how to handle talking to refs and stuff like that, and how he kind of went about his business. Just kind of little insight and conversations like that, but not quite much conversation about the other stuff.
Do you have? Did he give you any advice that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, just always lead by example, and I think that's the most important advice that you can get from somebody is that, and just kind of bring guys along and lean on them for leadership, push them in leadership, and have guys push you to be the best leader you can be and a better player. So those are the kind of the two things that he told me, and I definitely really appreciate the insight he has, and definitely look up to him big time.
I'm trying to think on how one former captain, legendary player, and obviously you're probably one of the most popular current players. Do you guys get any privacy at all while you guys were having lunch? Like, where were you, in a private room somewhere?
No, we were actually, we went to Cantina Gia right on Bank Street. So sat in the back where like the room kind of tucked, or the table tucked away, a couple people, couple eyes, but a couple of people came up and just said some funny things. So, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, he's a legend here. So, everyone loves him and kind of just what he's done for the community, at the rink, away from the rink, just the impact he has. It's definitely something to look up to.
Mm-hmm. When you guys left, did you shake hands? Because that seems to be something not going so well with you when it comes to ceremonial face-offs.
Yeah, I was joking around, 0-2 right now. So both those guys apologized, and no, I hold no hard feelings there. It happens. Not much I can do. So no, it's all good. You can laugh about it after, but it's funny that it's happened twice in probably like 2 or 3 weeks.
I was at that game there doing some stuff with the crowd and the fans, Brady, and I don't remember seeing him like actively snub you. Did he just kind of like, was it just like a quick, like just turn around? And I know this is not that big a deal probably in your world right now, but a lot of people want to know about it. Was it like, did it look like it was maybe on purpose as he skated away, or like was just like a legitimate accident?
I think it was a legitimate accident because he finished hugging them, and I just saw the video. He turned away, and then after he shook the hands and looked back, and nobody was there. So I just said, okay, like it was honestly quick, and I was like, oh, okay, that's all. The one in Detroit with Lark a little bit different and funnier because I shook the hand first, and then he shook, and I was kind of waiting there, and then he skated away. And I was like, all right, I guess. So I just skated. So. But me and Larks had a good laugh about that one. So both those guys apologized. So
of course,
But it's honestly, it's pretty funny.
Well, it's our job to dig for shit, right? So I'll ask you a question, then Wally might come over the top and ask you again, just in hopes that we get a soundbite. But I mean, as a former player, I get it. We like to overplay shit as media people, and it was probably nothing. But that game was not nothing. Was there any talk leading into it? I know you guys naturally, and you're the captain, you're going to downplay this probably, but like, was there any talk with the Gallagher situation or how you guys were going to approach that puck drop? Because I know coach was itching to get Sabourin out there and Kastelic. So what was the talk in the dressing room about?
Yeah. I mean, right when it happened, like in Montreal, taking the train back or, reading into it, looking at it, talking about it. And obviously we didn't play them for a couple of weeks. So kind of got buried a little bit, but we always got Timmy's back no matter what. Of course, we don't like somebody kind of freely saying that about, a teammate. So, but, like the game's like different now. It's when you look back, there's no line brawls and fights after fights. It's just not how it really is anymore. So, but to have, I remember it had like a 15-second shift and taken off, and then all of a sudden, the sword Casty go out there, and I mean that's just if I had to play against those two, I'd be definitely a little nervous, and definitely be more in check during that game. So I mean I think that's a good thing about our team is we have some of those guys that pretty intimidating, can throw them pretty good. So it was exciting. Of course, there's a couple fireworks during the games, but nothing like the good old days where it'd be fight after fight after fight. So just kind of how it is now. Of course, would we have loved that, and it would have been great for the fans and the game. Yeah, it would have been great, but just kind of not how it was like trending towards. So
it was fun to watch.
A lot of threats, though. That was a lot of threats going back and forth. So, not much action after
that, but that was great though, because for me, at least from my vantage point, I'm not calling for anybody's heads, but I think as a fan, you like to see a response from your team that you're cheering on, right? And if you guys can send a message in a reasonably insignificant game, right? There's no playoffs coming around. You may as well set the tone early with the team that's in your division. So from my standpoint, I thought you guys handled it perfectly. The clown stuff didn't carry on for too long, but you let them know right off the bat, okay, like you guys are going to mess with our young kid. We're going to go after you a little bit. And then the dust settled, and all their skilled guys almost kind of shelled up a little bit. Like they didn't want to play in the game. And that's what I noticed immediately.
Yeah. We were laughing after the first, like, well, that wasn't hockey. That was just nonsense. So there's a lot of running around. So second period, everyone, we kind of took over there. In third period, we kind of laid up a little bit. It was a little too exciting in the third period there. So I mean, honestly, to get back to the game, it was fun. It had everything, the chaos at the start, but just happened to win at home against Montreal on a Saturday night. So it was definitely a good combo.
Was there a little Hard and Crown action after that game, or was it pretty settled, like nice and easy?
It was more subtle than that. Yeah, that was fun that night. But,
it was great.
Yeah, it was no Heart and Crown, no karaoke, but good time still.
Oh boy.
I want to get to karaoke in one sec. The last question I have on the Montreal game is, do you wish you had scored your first NHL goal and then immediately had a fight?
That's pretty cool. I will say that was pretty cool. I remember I rewatched it and I saw him score. I don't think, of course he didn't know he scored, but then right when he dropped the gloves, I think Cash looked back quickly. And I think I haven't talked to him since. And I think he maybe registered I think I might have scored that one. And then then he started fighting. I was like, there can't be many people in the world that scored and fight at the same time. That's pretty awesome. I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, and Sabourin had to be pissed, right? Because he got the free tap in, and he goes back to the bench thinking he has the goal. So all I could think was, once that reverses on him, was he a little bitter? Probably wouldn't voice that.
Yeah, he was. It was funny. We all had good laughs that
good
moment.
That was so good. Do you wish your goal song was Mr. Brightside? Will you make this a request for next season?
I've actually heard it a couple times when I've done some things. I know after the game, when give sticks to fans, I hear them put on Mr. Brightside. So I don't know if it could be a goal song because we have a pretty
not a goal song.
Yeah, that's not really. Maybe after a fight, maybe, but I've heard that before. But yeah, goal song. We have our standard goal song, which is nice, and but yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it could ever be a goal song. Maybe after a fight, I'll take it and just jam out to that the penalty box or something.
Matthew, you've heard
start doing the what is it, Mighty Ducks 3 when he starts taking off all the gear.
Yes, Volton Reed and the other guy, the Bash brothers, right? They start gearing down. Yeah.
Just start throwing stuff in the stands. Just go tarpless.
Speaking of tarps off, Matthew, you've seen Brady at Mark Stone's wedding sing Mr. Brightside. We've seen the video now with Josh Norris as backup. How would you rate Brady's singing ability?
Oh, it's good. I mean, half the battle is just showing up, you know what I mean? And he did that just fine. And my only memory from Brady, well, I got a lot of them from the wedding because he was in the wedding party, but I remember him looking a lot bigger. And I remember him dancing with older women, bringing on grandmothers onto the dance floor, twirling them. He was a showman, and you could tell he was having fun. So I'm not going to embarrass him. Real talk, I can't think of anything else that happened that would genuinely embarrass him. So I thought I was impressed. It looked like he was really working the room.
Yeah, for me, it's just my brother and I call it being an entertainer. So just and we joke around. I know people around the team are like, what happened? How'd you get singing in front of everybody? I'm like, oh, thank me later, putting asses in seats. So I said that jokingly, but I mean, it's kind of just been a running joke for the last week. So yeah, it's not a good voice at all, but just sing with your heart and just get everybody going. So that's pretty much the only goal when it comes to that song, get people laughing.
Do you get embarrassed? I've seen you do a million things. Nothing seems to rattle you at all. So is there anything about that you get embarrassed with?
A tough turnover gets me embarrassed, but yeah, I mean, pretty confident. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just little things like that. Maybe a tough game, get embarrassed, but yeah, I think that's the only thing I can think of is not playing my best and being embarrassed, and almost have that sense of letting people down, but not being my best. But that's kind of the only thing that kind of makes me embarrassed with things.
The only thing I could think that, well, I shouldn't say this because people will pick me on me for my fashion. Whatever that shirt is you're wearing when you're singing with Josh Norris, it looks terrible to me. I'm just going to straight up call it what it is.
Hey, that's fine. I actually just somebody was wearing it that night, and I jokingly asked him what it would take to.
Oh, you bought it off someone.
Yeah, so
that explains everything.
So I just this guy was wearing it. I was like, hey, what will it take to get that quarter zip? Because I'm a Patriot fan that grew up loving Tom Brady. I'm like, that's pretty nice. And so then eventually he was like, nothing, like blah, blah, blah. And then like right before, he was like, yeah, here you go, man. Like, just was thinking about it. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, as long as I can take a picture of me and you and send it to, I don't know if it was his mom or something who, was a Ottawa Senator fan. So got it and wore it, and it was pretty funny.
So good. It did. It stood out to me right away. Things that also stood out to me are brought to you by Pearls of Wisdom, brought to you by Boyd Moving. A couple of things we like to point out that maybe you don't even know, Brady. 2, the only NHL player to have 2 seasons with 250 shots and 250 hits in NHL history, by the way. 70 even strength goals in his first 4 seasons. That's the most in Sens history. 29. That's goals scored versus 29 of the 31 NHL opponents. Only Chicago and LA left now for you to score against that you haven't. And 31 points against all 31 NHL teams already in your career, which is only like 270 some games. Like, it's pretty impressive of what you've been able to do so far. So where does 30 goals potentially on the season rank for you in terms of milestones?
Yeah, I mean, definitely would be pretty cool. That's a goal, I've had set since the start of this year. Of course, always have high expectations for myself, and yeah, would it be awesome? Yeah, but if it doesn't happen, then hopefully made an impact in other aspects. But of course, every day, just my goal this year is just every day be better, be a better player, person, leader, and just try to be there for my teammates more. And as it's been a kind of up and down season, a lot of adversity, team wise with injuries and all that type of stuff. So, but of course, if it would hit, be a pretty cool moment. But if not, feel like it did, I improved in other aspects of my game.
Oh, absolutely. 62 points, which one more point would be the most points in a season since Erik Karlsson in 2016-17 or 2015-16. So you've had this amazing season. Were you at all concerned when you signed that deal that there would be expectations that you might not be able to fulfill? Like, did you feel any pressure with the size of the contract?
No, I mean, of course, people's, opinions changed when that happens, and people's expectations got higher for me to, kind of prove myself. But to be honest with you, I just wanted to prove it to myself, and I just wanted to show that every year, I'm going to get better. I'm going to improve in aspects of my game that I maybe struggled the year before, and just try to be a better player because of it. And but with all that, it can't happen without the work, in the summer with the trainers and who have helped me out, and with my teammates this year. I've been fortunate to play with some pretty unreal players that we've had a lot of fun playing together with. So it's not a one person thing here. It's everybody leading in the right direction and helping each other out. And it's been with all the adversity, it's been tough, but a lot of lessons that we've learned, and quite frankly, it's been a fun year, and a lot of guys elevating their game, and I think we all have expectations for each other, and that we all push each other to get there.
Where does the moment where you signed your contract, you fly into Ottawa, you're shown on the scoreboard at the game, you're basically like the mayor for a day, or maybe the prime minister, the way the reaction was. What was that feeling like being received by the fans when you signed your new deal?
Yeah, I remember it was pretty nuts. I legit got out of the car and went straight up there pretty much. And there's a lot of blue jerseys, but I was just overwhelmed with it felt like it was sitting down. There's a lot of blue jerseys, but then everybody standing up was just, Ottawa, of course, and place felt like was going nuts. And I was just almost like didn't know what to do with my hands, like Talladega Nights, like with the microphone. I'm like, oh, what do I do? So, but yeah, it was honestly a great memory, and to have, I was always joking around like after, like, oh, I should have chugged a beer or something. You really get the people going, but no, it was honestly, it's a really cool moment and just kind of, feel the love. And, a couple days prior it was getting really tough, so the season was coming around, not being there, not being with my teammates and kind of not feeling like I'm a part of anything. It was, getting really hard. And so we were getting really down to like the nitty gritty, and just to kind of feel that love getting back, it was awesome. And I was just so excited to be able to see my teammates finally after, a long summer.
You talked about the sea of blue. We talk a lot about when the Leafs come to town, there's a lot of tickets that go to Toronto. Montreal the other night, there was a ton of obviously red. There were the boos for hometown players, Tim Stützle. What's that like, I guess, as players are on the bench? There's still a great atmosphere around it because the building sold out and there's a lot of emotion. But is it a little strange to hear the boo birds?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was an amazing atmosphere, amazing energy. You could just feel it, playing. And yeah, it's honestly, you don't even know what to think when, Timmy was getting booed there. It was different. It was weird. Of course, I don't know if what the right word is, but it was different. And of course, just weird that it happened, but you know what? It was a great atmosphere. Everybody was, at the edge of their seat. I feel like all game, first period, like we talked about with kind of the chaos of the game, and then second, all the goals, and third, kind of their pushback. It was an entertaining game. I feel like there's a lot of memories made for, fans, whether it was their first game, first time coming in a while, that they're like, okay, this is what the game's all about. So it was fun, especially that we came out with a big win. And that was a good experience.
There's not a better feeling than pounding on one of those two teams in your own building, knowing that all those fans have to leave pissed off. But it's frustrating, but no matter what you do, it'll never change because you have two huge hockey meccas in Toronto and Montreal, and Ottawa's wedged right in between them. So I feel like that'll never change. But all I can remember, Chucky, was when I played here, we would say before the game started, okay, we got to get the crowd out of this game early. So come out strong. Like, who says that in their own building? You know what I mean? But it'll never change. It's annoying as hell. But once you guys come around the corner here and start really winning a lot of games with that young core you have, it'll be a lot of fun. Because those games, even the Toronto game or the Montreal game, like the games are louder here in Ottawa than they are in those buildings. Because in those buildings, you get a lot of the corporates, right? Like you don't get the blue collar crowd that you get when you come and play in Ottawa. So you got to have fun with it. But I'm with you in that it's very frustrating and it's a hard question to answer because you don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we always, you get the people that really believe in us, the Sens fans that, are sticking through with us. And of course, it's probably way easier to get tickets, at the games here versus, those, I've seen 100%. The prices, I've seen the tickets to kind of have a good experience. It's crazy. So, you know what, honestly, like you said, it is different and fresh, but it creates such a crazy atmosphere.
100%.
And I agree that once we start, picking up and, which we believe can happen, very soon, I think the, CTC will be jumping and filled with tons of excitement.
Good. Which Brendan do you dislike more, Lemieux or Gallagher?
Now you're just trying to get sound bites out of him. Yeah, he is. 100% he is.
There he is. I was waiting for that one. I think you guys know my answer anyways.
Do you look forward? Do you look forward to that game whenever it is next season?
Yeah. It's going to be probably the same thing, emotional, storylines going into it. So, it's another game, but it's going to be definitely an emotional one.
I'll move on to the Sens this season. People will say either it looks like you took a step back because of where you are in the standings, or perhaps it's a step forward based on all the injuries you had and not being able to have Colin White and Shane Pinto and a bunch of other players. I mean, you missed Thomas Chabot for a while. You missed the beginning of the season, Josh Norris, on the injuries. Do you feel like this team has made a step forward collectively, despite where it may be in the standings?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you get those opinions from, I hate to say it, but people on Twitter just kind of voice their opinion. And you know what? I deep down believe that now we're going to do something special here. And I know everybody in that room has that same belief that we're a team that can accomplish a lot. And I do think we took steps this year. I mean, like you said, I don't think we had one full healthy lineup this year. And of course, we'd like to be a little bit higher in the standings, but we faced a lot this year, with injuries. Us and the Islanders were the two teams that kind of got hit really hard with COVID before, the shutdown. So, it took time for us to kind of get back after that. Then we played, one game in 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden every other game, or every game every other day. So, it's been a grind, and I think it's going to be the lessons that we learned this year are going to be, huge for us moving forward. And with all the adversity that we faced and how we handled that, it's just going to be great for our group, and that we'll be able to handle anything now, because all the things we've done this year has been as crazy as ever, with all the negative things that kind of happened this year. So we've all tried to learn from it. And I think as of late, you've been seeing us kind of turn on with everyone kind of coming back. And I just think that's kind of going to give everybody a preview. Of course, we can't look past these last 2 games, but the excitement and how everybody's just got so much better throughout the year.
You talked about the last little bit here. It was 50 games in 100 days. You're now at game 47. Can you explain what the grind has been like? I understand you live a very privileged life and all, and I'm not trying to make it a big deal, but when you're a professional athlete and you're playing every other night on that grind, I don't know what the injuries are like for you guys, but I do know that is a constant battle. Methot will understand too. Like, what compared to all the other times you've played, and I understand obviously COVID was different, but what's that grind been like?
Yeah, well, this last road trip was, pretty crazy. We traveled all the way to Seattle, played Seattle the next day, Vancouver the next day, and then all the way back to the Eastern time zone. So just kind of just the time change there. It's crazy. You kind of forget it with last year, just playing, there's just 6, 7 other teams, and then kind of getting back into the swing of things. It's just the travel just adds on. But of course, with our team, there's never any excuses. There's no excuses not to be the hardest working team and be our best. So it's definitely, playoffs, it's every other day. And you see after the end of, what guys are battling through. I know it's a little bit different being playoffs versus regular season, but there's just a lot of guys battling through things and kind of just hanging on by a thread to finish off and finish hard.
Yeah.
So how do you guys approach now? Like, you just had a very emotional game against Montreal. Now you're going to be playing against New Jersey, not a great team. And then obviously Florida's going to be coming in afterwards. And I think you guys are in Philly for your last one. So what's the approach for this next game? Like, you obviously don't want to lay off the gas pedal, but you just come off all that travel. That you see the finish line. Like, is it a struggle to try to get guys up for these last few games?
I don't think so. Cause I think, for us, even just saying, count that, like, it's 9 periods left. It's just 9 periods of hockey just to give it your all. And then you have 4 months to recover or relax and kind of do whatever you want in the summer. So I think, these last 3 games, we're going to give it our absolute all. And I don't think we're going to take, the foot off the gas. A little bit of Montreal, we kind of just were starting to freelance, go back and forth, trade chances. We just, 3 games, just want to prove to ourselves that we can play that mature game. And we want to win these next 3. And we want to really kind of set the standard and set kind of the excitement for next year and to kind of leave on a positive and good foot that, we left it all out there and we're ready to go for next year.
Oh, well, I will say for you playing New Jersey, it's a bit different because you're very close with the Hughes brothers. Do you enjoy these battles when you go against these guys? Because you, both your families, I think, are very, very tight.
Yeah. So, we're always really tight with the Hughes. Got to see, Quinn in Vancouver and, also, Tommy Fitz being family and Frosty, their equipment manager, he's pretty much family too. So, we definitely have a lot of connections with, New Jersey and they're fun to play against. Great to see everybody always. And, it's, I don't know if Jack made the trip. I don't think he made the trip because, battling through, whatever he's got going on right now. So, We're all pretty tight. Yeah, I think lower body. Body.
There's a flu. There's a flu going around, I think, with that team. They only dressed like 11 forwards on Sunday. So I think they're pretty banged up right now.
Oh, I didn't know
the Sens flu.
Yeah. We're called the 10 flu, Formy flu. they're going, Formy's got a couple big scraps. So you got to be careful with the 10 flu. You don't know if he's going to snap when you're not.
So, hey, I wanted to ask him just really quick. Sorry, Wally. I just because I was reading some of the, the stuff from today. You guys were doing a lot of media stuff. What is your plan now? And I know you have games left. You're the captain. You're not looking to the summer. I understand, but world championships are around the corner. Like, what are you leaning towards? Are you considering it if you're healthy, or is that something that you're still undecided with?
Yeah, I've actually talked to them. I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, just kind of get on the same. Yeah, of course, it'd be an honor to represent your country in any event. But I've just been battling through a couple of things for a couple of months now, and just kind of going to wait and see what the team has to say about plans moving forward and how to take care of it. Just want to be healthy, come in for next year and throughout the summer to be able to kind of come in as the best shape possible. So. I guess we'll have to wait and see. It'll probably be, a decision coming here. But I just, of course, want both parties to know for steps moving forward.
Have you like, and you'd think I would know this already but I don't do a whole lot of homework for these interviews. Have you played in one by any chance yet? Or
no, I haven't. I haven't played in one of those.
People. It's funny because most players that are asked like right now almost always leave it open-ended. Like no one's ever fully committed because it's a month, and Wally knows he's covered a million of them. It's a full month of hockey past that 82 game stretch. Right. So guys are a little reluctant to go over there. I'm wondering, like, is that kind of at the back of your mind too? Like another more hockey, more grind, or is it purely just because your body might not be ready?
I mean, I've heard, guys with great experiences there and meet new players and having fun. But for me personally, it's just the body is kind of hurting here. So just kind of take care of the nagging things that have been going on for a couple months now and get that all figured out and make sure it's all ready to go for next year.
Fair enough.
That was Matt looking for a soundbite. I want to know about wearing the helmet and the magic that comes with wearing the bike helmet after a game. I will say, though, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of words of wisdom that get spoken once the helmet gets put on.
Yeah. A couple of guys get nervous around the camera. You just got to I don't know. I don't know if guys get caught off guard or anything, but or just don't want to say the generic, nice job, was so I think guys try to call it something different, but at the end of the day, just the steady Eddies work every time. So just use the most generic ones you can.
How often does safety first get mentioned?
Holdy's always in the locker room before. So I haven't heard it in a bit, but you bet he's just throwing it out there just all the time. Whenever he gets it next, he'll definitely be saying it.
Chucky, I had to do one of the suite visits was by like the Molson Lounge or whatever in the building. And I walked by this like bar. Everyone's getting hammered in the bar. I know you guys are far away from that, but there had to have been 15 guys all wearing bike helmets and Oakleys getting absolutely loaded right up there. So you guys have started something, and I feel like it's only going to perpetuate and get worse. So congratulations.
Yeah, I saw those guys in warm-ups.
Oh, you did?
I was crying, laughing. I was like, that's awesome. So
it was amazing, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how that's kind of transpired to that. And maybe, of course, it's not even close to the Hamburglar, but maybe once we get on a run and potentially go into playoffs, something can catch and everybody can kind of rally around that.
Thousands of bike helmets in the stands. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All of a sudden, they're just giving out free bike helmets and shades, and everybody in the place is wearing it.
Be something to look forward to. Playoffs would be outstanding. Speaking of which, come Sunday, are you all in on the Calgary Flames and obviously your brother as they try to win the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm gonna hopefully be able to see him. Whether it's on the road or in Calgary, but you know what, it's exciting. It's, you know, we've always talked about what we do with, you know, the Stanley Cup if we won it. So, you know, I'm going to be following him, you know, watching every game, maybe being games for, you know, in person. So we'll see how they end up doing. You know, I'm excited for him. I know how excited he is. And, of course, I'll just wish him all the best, but you know, I'll definitely be rooting him on.
I feel like a small part of you has to be kind of competitive and not wanting to win one though, right? Like that, like I got a brother too. He played obviously not the same level, but I wouldn't want to be that odd man out. Like, is that not kind of at the back of your mind?
To be honest with you, like not really, because I just think about how much of a time I would have if you won the Stanley Cup and the parties you have. I was like, you know what, like this is a preview for what I'm going to do. And like I could go to your party, see what's going to be fun for when I have my party for the Stanley Cup. So
good line of thinking.
So I'm like, you win, but now I can go with my plans for when we win here in Ottawa.
Quickly, Matthew got 100 points, as you obviously know, which was 2 more points than your dad's highest ever in Keith Tkachuk. What was Matthew saying to Keith when he beat his record?
Well, like kind of like the big thing with our family is, you know, my dad will, I don't know if he will brag about something, but then he'll follow like a big boom, like Big Wall's the best boom, like something like that. So, so we were joking around, like we're all texting, like, let's go, like, congrats, like all in our family group chat. And like all he responded was just boom. So it was pretty funny. And it's just kind of, we all had a good laugh. So I haven't really talked to him in person after. I was talking to him before, and I was glued to the TV that Dallas game, and I was fired up when he got it.
Awesome. It's so good. 100 points is amazing to me, especially as we continue on through the NHL. It just seems to be tougher and tougher to score. Before we let you go, what have you learned about your team this year?
That's a good question. I just think the kind of maturity that we have for being a younger team is, like I've been saying, just the adversity we face and how we've gotten better because of it, and how we've elevated our games to be better is you know, pretty awesome. And we've won games with our maturity too, and being able to close it out when at the start of the year we've maybe just, you know, lost the lead and lost the game. So I would say, you know, the maturity through the last couple of months have been the thing I've learned the most.
Who's the best goal scorer on the Ottawa Senators? Is it you? Is it Josh? Is it Drake Batherson? Tim Stützle?
Probably go with Josh. Josh is probably the best. Yeah, it's pretty easy to say him with whenever you get in this spot, he can go anywhere. He can score from anywhere. So I'd probably go with Josh.
It's amazing what he's been able to do, and 34 goals already on the season. Finally, if you do win the Stanley Cup and you've got your party planned, would you have Adele sing at your party?
Adele, if I could get Adele to sing at the party, absolutely. I'll take, and that would be probably the best party ever. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if she's available, then yeah, I'll have her sing. But I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, I guess till we'll get the invite for that one.
I just remember when we first had you on and you talked about going to an Adele concert. It made all kinds of headlines, and so it always made me laugh. I've never forgotten you saying that you would like to go to an Adele concert. So I hope it works out.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Well, thank you.
Brady Tkachuk, we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. Good luck the rest of the season, and enjoy your summer. It's been well deserved, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
As always, thanks to our good friend Brady Tkachuk for stopping by. I hope he has a fantastic weekend. My guess is he's got all his summer plans booked. Meth, when you were in the final week of the regular season and there's nothing to play for, there's no playoffs, when do you start planning your summer vacation?
Oh, it's planned. Hey, listen, if anybody in that lineup tells you otherwise, they're full of shit. Okay. Because guys typically, you know, it's inevitable. And when you're clear cut out of it with however many games left, you know, you're obviously still focused on winning and you want to look good, and your individual play matters, especially if you're vying for a deal or looking to get extended in next year. You want to look good. So you're motivated to still win games. But you are thinking about the beach and, a pina colada or whatever it is, whatever weapon of choice you go with down there. So usually the best indicator, Wally, is how quickly players leave town. So if players happen to get on a flight the day after the last game or 2 days after, they booked that flight 2 months prior. So for me personally, that last week, I'd get a little anxious because all I could think of is the end of the year party and how I'm going to feel the following morning going into my end of the year meetings with the coaching staff and the GM. So that would be my memory. And then seeing the hungover players coming in, right, and having to call guys and be like, okay, does anybody know where so-and-so is? His meeting's in 10 minutes, stuff like that. And players have had to drive out, slam on doors, wake that individual up, get him to the rink, clean him up. You're almost propping the guy up with your hands to make that meeting and force feeding him coffee. So a lot of fond memories from playing for sure.
Craig, and I meant to say welcome to the show. The one thing I always do with Craig is I always see him on the show and I keep forgetting to say that everybody else does it. So welcome to the show. I apologize.
For most people that don't know, I'm always on the screen somewhere, just maybe not yours screen. So yes, I'm on your screen now. So what's happening?
And it's funny, the dynamic with Craig, because Wally and I can always see him while we're doing the show.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, if something incredibly stupid comes out of my mouth or Wally's, you can see Craig kind of cringing in the background.
Make a note of it or something.
Yeah, we've always got the body language.
Meth said something I could clip. Let me grab that, and I'm an idiot or something, and that's all I need. Yeah, I just did it, so that's not good.
So I apologize.
That's okay.
When you're around,
someone gets that.
When you're around the room, when it's the last week, guys they have zero desire to have a chat.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest with you, the feeling's pretty mutual. I think we're all just trying to get to the finish line there. It's always cool to hear because the players are all like, I can't wait to get out of here. We're going golfing. We're hitting up the beach. I was like, on my end, I'm just psyched to get my evenings and weekends back. That changes everything when you don't have to work every weekend and every night.
It's funny you say that, Craig, because to a degree, I think we could relate as well. Because as you know, the schedule, you and Wally both know this, when you're traveling with the team, I mean, none of us, including you guys, are on a normal sleep schedule, right? So that was another thing. I'm like, that first week back, I'm like, wow, I'm sleeping, my sleeping's regular again. I'm getting 7 hours a night as opposed to 6 or 5, right? So that was always a big one.
Yeah, you almost it's just nice. You don't know what to do with yourself in the evening when you don't have to watch a game every other day, whatever. So it's really nice. But I mean, Brent, it switches to then when's the draft lottery? When's the draft?
Next?
When's the combine? Yeah. When's free agency starts? So it just kind of slows down. Evenings and weekends come back, which is nice. But other than that, it's the hours get they're still a tad unreasonable at times, but they get a little more reasonable. So that's good.
See, and I was always off to the playoffs. So I never got that break. It was as soon as whatever this game or locker cleanout day was done, I was off to whatever round was going on or the world championships. And so I'd always be a little happier and perkier because I'd see Meth, hey, going to the world championships. Cause I thought it was a blast.
Yeah.
Just shut up for a week and then we'll talk afterwards. I was always the perky guy.
Yeah. The world championship thing is a weird one, right? So if you're a player and you're invited to it, everybody in your circle, all your teammates, at the NHL level are going away, right? They're booking trips and you're just looking at them and you're envious.
Yes.
And then all you're doing is, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 to 3 days off and then I'm gonna have to start skating again. So then you're alone on the ice, taking shots because you don't want to go overseas and be embarrassed. So it's always an interesting dynamic, which was fun to talk to Brady about it a little bit. You can always see the reluctancy in players when they talk about the worlds initially, but then they go over and they have a good time. But it's hard to agree to something like that after doing an 82 game grind.
And the problem is though, for you guys, and we're talking about in the interview, is you never want to talk about the world championships while there's NHL games going on. Cause you think it's I can't do it. It's wrong to discuss it. But you guys have been contacted by Hockey Canada or USA Hockey.
Oh yeah. Weeks
ago,
in advance.
Right. You're well aware of this. So I think I'm going to go, but we'll see at the end of the year. Meanwhile, Canada has you penciled in on the first line.
Oh yeah, guaranteed. And that's it's something that'll never change. That's just hockey, right? Guys try to be the ultimate team players, so you don't want any outside distractions. And I know it's silly, but it is what it is. Yeah.
That's the only. I would just wish, just tell me you're going, and we can just move on from this. But whatever.
I know.
But I guess there is the issue if they play 3 games and get hurt, then they're not going.
Possibility.
So, I do. Yep. I remember the year 2019, Mark Stone was aggressively recruiting players to come over. He got like John Tavares to show up. They had a really good team, and then Tavares got hurt, and they ended up not winning it. But the recruiting stuff now is taking place because it's harder and harder to get more guys to come over because they want their breaks.
Well,
the season's
you know
really
what?
long.
And it's, but there's more to it. Like, because Hockey Canada's first class. They do such a good job taking care of the guys, but you're still roommating. You're still rooming with a guy. So, and that drove me crazy, and the odd player that goes over there would have their own room. But like for like a player like me, for example, at the time, I'd always have a roommate. And if anybody knows what the situations are like in hotels over in Europe, it ain't like North America. Okay. And this is something people always just talk about how great Europe is. Listen, plumbing's not the same, right? So the bedrooms are not the same. So you've got two single beds that are almost lockstep together with maybe a token nightstand. Oftentimes we'd have to actually separate. We'd have to like reorganize the room. So I can hold, like, I'd be like with Bomeister, for example, my last one. And I could hold his hand while I was sleeping. So you're sleeping with a grown man literally in your personal space. I mean, it wouldn't pass COVID protocol. That's how close you are. And you're doing that. And then you go into the shower, and the odd hotel rooms, like it's like an integrated shower with a bath, with a toilet all in one. Like the whole thing is a shower floor. So everything's
just water everywhere.
It's now listen, I'm done talking about being privileged. I don't give a shit. Yes. Call me privileged. It was a fucking logistical nightmare. So that's the only issue, is going over there.
Yeah.
It's not as enjoyable as you think it is. You're still grinding out a hockey schedule. You have no privacy. You're always with some random person. Like you're like sleeping beside a stranger. These are players that you don't know, right? It's one thing to sleep beside a player that that you've played with all year, but like Alex Burrows, Jay Bomeister, you go down the list of players, like guys I don't know. Some of them I hated, and I'm expected to sleep beside them. So, other than that, they do a really good job. But if you're a little OCD and you don't, you want your personal space, maybe that tournament isn't for you. That's all I'm going to say.
I can just picture you rolling over and like you're nose to nose with a sleeping Alex Burrows, and that was the moment you fucking decided to catch a flight back home.
I'm out.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's funny, and I know I told the story before.
Yeah,
because I had a bad back at the time, right? That was like right before I had to get my extension the following season, and my back was still screwed up that summer. And I can remember Burr was just honking away, like snoring. And I couldn't even get comfortable in bed because I'm sleeping on this little 4x4. And then I'm like, okay. And then it was like 4 a.m. one night. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Enough. I was like, I boiled over. So I'm calling my agent at 4 a.m. I'm like, Larry, I don't care. Get me out of here. Call Hockey Canada. I want to go home. I want my bed. I can't play. This isn't fun. I can't even put my skates on. So Larry would try to tell me, okay, wait, just try to go get some sleep. I'm like, you understand, I can't sleep. Burroughs is snoring in the other room. Either send me some sleeping medication or get me the hell out of here. Anyway, long story short, I ended up leaving. But yeah, man, it's a grind if you're not comfortable doing that type of stuff.
It is. So my favorite or least favorite or most memorable moment is we're in Slovakia. And you guys usually have
Kosice?
Yeah. So it's small town, right? And so it's a small, it's a boutique hotel. It's been around for 200 years or whatever. So I send out my laundry to get done. I come back and we walk up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs is a meeting, like a boardroom. And I'm like, I can just see some clothes on like a tree kind of thing drying. And I'm like, that looks like my socks. So I walk over, and in the middle of this boardroom, they're drying my clothes. So my underwear's hanging there, everything. I'm like, I was like, okay.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So they use the boardroom as a drying area for random clothing
and the lady, the ladies would smoke in there. I think it was like their break room, but it was a boardroom. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So there you go. People have a better idea. Like, it's not like,
but you're
not staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Yeah. It's different. No, it's great. Like, we had a blast. Like, we would be stumbling through the McDonald's drive-through at like 2 a.m. after going out with all the guys. Like, it's great. Yes. Like, it's a fun tournament, but you need to be just like very relaxed and understand that you're not going to be getting the NHL experience. It's a little different, right?
Yeah. It's a full different world. Absolutely. That's totally. And that's what makes it, I think, a little bit fun, is it's out of your comfort zone. So it's a little different. Yeah. So Craig, you need to experience. Have you been to Europe?
Nah. I left North America for the first time to go to Mexico. I'm a homebody, man. Like when you guys are describing those things, I was like, that sounds terrible. My first thought is like, I guarantee the Wi-Fi is shit. Like that's shit. It would be terrible. I would have no fun.
Yeah.
So
you're correct.
I probably won't go to Europe. That's probably not for me.
Europe unless you're going to like nice, like warm, like Greece or places like that. It's completely overrated. I'm going to get flack for saying that.
I disagree.
Know this.
I love it.
But like I enjoyed Austria. I enjoyed Germany. I shouldn't say that because Scandinavia. Slovakia was great. Like you're right. They all have their.
It's just different.
They're little quirks. Yeah, they're different, but it's not like a cushy, comfortable vacation. It's like a lot of walking, sightseeing. Like Prague was really cool.
Sightseeing. I know,
but I'm the same way. I'm more like I need to be like doing stuff. Like I like we were in Prague and they have this like 2,000-year-old clock, right? So you sit there and you watch the clock. And maybe like one of those cuckoo bird comes out on every hour, and you're thinking, okay, that was cool. I'm ready to go back home now. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Was that into sightseeing
Prague or was that Switzerland and Bern?
No, Prague. Prague has the really old clock in the town square, and it's really cool. But like it's like one of the oldest clocks in the world.
But Switzerland in Bern has the one of the famous. Clock.
They have one there too. Yes, they have one there too. Yeah.
All right.
Now, listen, I could probably go to Europe and have a really good time, but it's less about Europe and more about my ability to be able to have fun anywhere, right? Like I could probably find cool shit to do in Europe. That would be fun, but I probably wouldn't pick out Košice to go visit just on my own or with my family or whatever. Like because you guys circumstances brought you there.
Yes.
I wouldn't fun circumstances. I'm sure
it's fun. It's fun when you go with a group of 23 other dudes that are your age and share the same interests and like to drink beer. That was fun. Now to go there with my 2 kids and my wife, probably not so much.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been to a lot of places through work that I probably wouldn't just travel to normally. And I had fun there. So I think that's just traveling. Right. So it depends on your circumstances.
Agreed.
Sightseeing is the worst. That's why I'm not into Europe or those things. Like I don't want to go see a clock. Like that would be a pretty lousy day. So I'm more of a sit or listen, I love food. Like the food there in a lot of places, I'm sure is pretty good. Like that would probably hook me in. Yeah.
Schnitzel's good. Well, speaking of clocks, we're out of time. So until next time, thank you for everybody to our sponsor, Sports Interaction, BEI, Bonnester Excavating Inc., Boyd Moving, and of course, Whitewater Beer. We'll see you all next time. That's the Wally Methot Show.